Good morning, good morning, good morning. Welcome to Coffee Time with Coach Jah. It's your boy in the building, man. It is amazing Friday morning, and I'm trying to get myself together. You know, they always say, get your life. I'm working on getting my life right now, if that's all right with you. Working on getting my life. Wanda, welcome to the spot. Listen, yesterday, all y'all that tuned in and stayed on with us for the 4 hours that me and AJ was on, I appreciate y'all. We talked about a lot of things. We talked to Braxton, who is a city councilman here in Charlotte, and he's running for election again. He's up for election again coming up, and we're going to help the brother. We're going to help him because he's our brother, and because we know that he is a front runner with us, and we know that he was on the front line with us when we were out there marching and talking about what we need to do to reconstruct and rebuild a better Charlotte. And if you're not familiar with him, his name is Braxton Winston. You can look him up and find him. He has been a frontline runner. As I said, he is on the forefront. He's not one of those people that talk from behind the podium. He actually was out in the streets. He was actually arrested for protesting things that he felt was not right, being and things that were unjust and not lawful according to our civil laws and our civil rights. And so he is a good brother. We're going to back him, and we're going to get him back in that office because that's the kind of brothers we need. And just a FYI, also want to put this out there. I am in this moment now. I drove down Graham Street in Charlotte, and it's what they call Tent City. And the people that are living in those tents out there on the streets, those people are in need of firewood and lotion. Firewood and lotion. Always hand sanitizer, right? But they need firewood and lotion. Just think you're out in the cold weather, you're out in the elements, and you need Eco. What's up, my brother? Shadina, good morning to you. And they need lotion to help their skin. Your skin needs to be moisturized. And imagine being in the weather and the elements all the time. They need lotion and they need firewood. And so I'm going to go on live later, right? So we can talk about that because I want people to help me. I don't want you to send money to me. I would like you to avoid sending money to me, but that's the only way you can. That's fine. But we want to send them lotion. I don't care if it's the little travel sizes, whatever we can buy. They need it. And I don't know if anybody has ways to bring to clean up the trash and things that they have around it, but they don't have anything. And so we want to at least try to help them take care of themselves, take care of their hygiene, and to help them stay warm. And so we're going to be looking for a lot of firewood, if you would, and a lot of lotion. That's one of the top things that they've been asking for. Also, socks have always been a major thing. And so we're going to talk about that later on today. I have a guest for you today. I'm excited about the brother coming on. I met him online. I listened to his poetry, and he just seemed like a deep brother, a real laid back, chill, deep brother, man. And I'm going to introduce him to some of you for the first time. And some of you may have met him and seen him online. My man, Samuel Benjamin, is in the building, a.k.a. Dark Man Blues. Like, bruh, good morning to you, sir. Oh, hold on, I can't hear you. Okay, let's try. You try to unmute your phone, unmute your speaker.
Okay, there we go.
There you go. Good morning, sir. How you doing?
Yeah, great. It's good to be up. You know, I've been up since 4 o'clock, and I'm like, what is going on with me? I'm getting up so early. I'm working. I want to, you know, I'm starting to write again. So if that moment wakes me up, then I just get up and cut on the computer and start in. You know.
Got you. Well, let's do this. Tell the people who you are, where you're from, and what you do, and what you got going on, and then we'll jump into just having some great conversation.
All right, cool. Okay, so I'm a writer, a poet, entrepreneur. I love writing. I love performing, and just listen to the pre-show, helping people as well. I've been doing that. I know that when I first started in poetry and start publishing myself, I helped over 100 people self-publish so that they wouldn't have to pay anybody to publish themselves.
Wow.
You know, so I'm the guy who will continue to keep writing, continue to keep helping people. And people say, oh, you're not making any money. I said, but one day I will. And now I am making money off of helping people publish because some of those people that I helped publish in the past, they actually are paying me now because they got rewarded, because they saw the true path to success and not having to give up so much to get so little back from someone else.
Yeah.
And so I've been doing a lot of great things. Even I shot a movie scene in 2017 for this movie, and then it wasn't even finished being written. That's one thing. But the guy heard a line that I did in a poem, and he said, "I want this in my movie." So I said, "Okay, dude, I'm moving from LA, and you're gonna have to do it now because I don't think I'm gonna come back." But I did come back to LA, and so I shot that scene, and now the movie's finished. He's finished writing the script. They got people interested in it, and now they want me to reshoot my scene. So they got a new camera crew. Wow. So I'm gonna reshoot my scene, and and I'm sure people heard this poem. I said she was a love poem and didn't know it. That got me into the movie. Yeah. So now I'm an actor now, but I've done plays. I've done plays too. So now I'm actually a movie actor. So I'll take that too. So I'm the person who just goes. I don't necessarily say go out of my way, because my way, I think, is right because I help people. You were talking about homeless people. Mm-hmm. I carry a box of throwaway masks in my vehicle with me. If I see somebody without a mask, a homeless person, I give them 3 to 5 of those masks here, and give them money if I have to give it to them. Right. And so that's the kind of person I am. So that's what I do. Yeah.
I want to say this. So I believe you did one of our open mic features on IG, right? Did we get you on, or we just had you on the open mic?
I was on the open mic.
Okay. Yeah. I will say this because you've been on the open mic several times.
Yeah.
And there's one thing that I admire about the work that I've heard from you. It reminds me of grown folks writing and grown folks timing. And what I mean by that is when you're dropping your poems, I'm looking at, we're being in a very elegant place, and people have their shots of bourbon and glasses of wine, and they're dressed in their Sunday best, if you would, right?
Yeah.
And it's a grown folks timing, and it's a real mature level of writing that I appreciate from your writing, and it inspired me to want to write more in-depth love poems, and not just and poets that are writers. I'm not trying to call anybody's work out, but sometimes we do a dusting of work, if you would, right? We just like kind of dance along the surface, and sometimes we don't dig deep into a stanza and grab some and make people say, "Whoa, wait a minute, rewind that shit. I need to hear it again." But I've listened to your work, and I love that about your work. It makes people look deeper. And so I don't look at the sky, but I'm looking beyond the sky, right? And I'm not looking at just clouds. I'm looking at pillows in the sky. Like, you make people think a little differently. So what inspires you to write in the manner that you write? What, and how long have you been writing? Like, what inspires that?
Well, I've been writing for a very long time. I would tell people that I started writing in high school, basically, really, because in junior high, I wasn't doing that kind of stuff. Mm-hmm. But in high school, I started writing, and then because back in the day, and I graduated from high school in '75, so I'm older than a whole bunch of other people, and they wasn't letting us read what these kids can read now. We had to read Shakespeare and Edgar Allan Poe, and I'm like, that's so boring. I don't think I like this. Is that poetry or what? And I'm like, this is not happening. So I started writing, and then I wrote a poem, and I don't think my high school teacher liked it. So okay, cool, that's all right. And so off to college I go, and didn't write any poetry. And then after college, started working, got my first little gig, and then I actually didn't start back writing till '92. So I had almost like a 25-year window where I didn't write any poetry.
Wow.
Okay, so, and then in '92, I started writing, and then someone said, "You don't have time for that." They said, "You're not going to make any money off of that." And I'm like, "But I like doing it." And no, and I was a busy person. I mean, because I went back to school to become a computer engineer, so that took a lot of my time too. Mm-hmm.
Mhm.
So, and then I wanted to write, and then I'm working full time. I'm going to school full time, and I want to write poetry. That wasn't happening.
Yeah, yeah.
So I had to give up writing again, and I didn't start back writing again until 2004. And then I wrote this piece called "The Passion Within,"
Mm.
and that's I said I think I could do this, and it was real funny. I actually shared that poem with 3 elderly white ladies
Wow.
I took my daughter for a fitting, and this happened to be 3 elderly white ladies in the fitting place. So I asked them, did they like poetry? They said yes. I said, let me share a poem with you, and I shared their passion within, and they just I made their hearts flutter. Okay, so that was so cool. And then I had a little stoppage in my writing after that, and then in 2007, I just started flourishing after that in 2007. And it's
God,
been a nonstop episode.
really?
I write back in 2000 from 2007 to 2015. I was writing 500 poems a year.
Shh.
So I have thousands and thousands of poems that are not no one has even heard. And I go back and I'm like, oh, I know I wrote that. I wrote that. Someone will say something to me, and I'm like, I wrote that already. I just have to find it. And then I just go to my computer, go to the archives, type in a keyword. If I remember a line, that's what I tell people. If I can remember the first line of a poem that I've written, I can recite that whole piece.
Wow.
And so that's what I do, And lately, I've been reciting stuff from a book that's not even out yet, and it's so far down the chart of coming out. Those poems will be, I mean, because the people heard them already, but
Uh-huh.
they haven't heard the rest of the book.
Yeah. Yeah.
So that way, then they think that, oh, that's all you got, and I'm like, nah, there's hundreds more of these.
There's a reward when you can write a poem that withstands time.
Yeah. Oh no, it's not just what people gonna remember when you say something, and they remember it. It's like from coast to coast.
Mhm.
I was on the show, and someone, it was a Zoom. No, it was an IG show, and one of the guests said, "What's up, CP?" And then the young lady, her name was CP Wrights. She's a very good writer. I've read her stuff.
Okay.
She thought the person was talking to her, and he said, "No, I'm talking to the real CP." I'm like, "Oh, watch out, man!" But that's what they call me on the East Coast. They call me CP. So that's for
What does that stand for?
complicated passions.
Complicated passions. Wow.
Yeah. So that was my stage name that I used when I first came to the East Coast in 2014.
Wow.
And I introduced that CP name to Blog Talk in like 2014 or something like that. And so I go on the show and I type in, I type in that this is complicated passions. And then they said, "Ooh, who's complicated passions?" Then when I start spitting, the person said, "I know who that is."
I know who it is now.
I know who that is. So that was good. They said, "Oh, you got a new stage name?" I'm like, "Yeah, just goes with the personality, and then you have to answer that question, what does complicated passion mean, and why you choose that?" And I say, well, love is complicated, but it can be so passionate if the person just give in,
Yeah.
kind of thing like that. Yeah.
And even in the complication, there's so much passion, right?
Oh yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's complicating. You know what I mean? Like when you really look at what is love, right? And then that's like a question that we don't really get to answer. We can tell us different things that we love about somebody, but we can't tell you what love is.
Right.
And that is complication, right? And then trying to how do you love one? Can you love a person for one thing only? And if you love them for one thing only, does that make you in love with that person, or just love that thing, right? So there's so much in that. Like that's really heavy.
Oh no, I actually wrote this piece, and I don't remember the title of it, but the line was, "Love me like you love yourself."
Wow.
And so that's the kind of love that the person wants to get, because you want to be loved like you love yourself. There's no deeper love than that. Because if you don't love yourself, then you don't need to be with me.
Yeah. Well, you can't.
You need to love yourself.
Yeah. Yeah.
I did the Black Book Expo one year.
Okay.
So when I walk up on the stage, I see that they're actually interviewing the artists before they spit. I'm like, okay, so I need to smash them before I spit. Before I say a line, I need to blow them away. So they asked me a bunch of questions and everything, and then they said, "What inspires you?" And then I gestured to the audience. I said, "Every woman in this audience inspires me."
Yeah, man.
Just like that, in that kind of voice, that was so cool. So it's like I tell my friends, I love it when my friends ask me, "How was the show?" And I tell them, "I murdered it."
Yeah.
Yeah, that kind of thing. Yeah, because that right there, I murdered it so that when I finished my set, because they gave me 10 minutes on the mic.
Okay.
When I finished my 10-minute set, they said, "More."
Yeah.
At the Black Book Expo, at the LA Convention Center, the sound, the sound guy was so dope because I sounded so good. I'm like, damn, I could do this forever.
Bro, listen to me. When your microphone sounds perfect,
yeah,
it sends your poem to a whole nother realm. People don't understand it.
Yeah.
So when I go to open mics or people ask me to perform, I bring my own mic stand, my own mic cords, and my own mix board. And the reason being is because half the time, people that they're not normally doing poetry events, this is not a regular thing for them, they don't get it.
Right.
If your mic is off as a poet, your poem is off.
It's whacked. It literally takes away the feel that you need. It's like my feedback is from the audience. I know that there's some dope spots in Los Angeles that I used to go to, and I'm at this spot, and so I want to walk in to perform to the audience, and so the band is playing because this is spoken word art and music, and the band is dope. It's the dopest band. It's like the band at the Apollo. This band can play anything. Name it, they play it. Okay, that's how dope the band is. So the band's playing, and then so I stand up after I'm being introduced, and then I look at them so they could turn the music down because they wanted me to walk to the mic. Like, no, I got to blow them away today because you got to do something different. So and then so I'm walking, and then the band stops playing, and then I turn to the group of ladies sitting in a booth to my right. No, that's me.
Okay. I was like, wait a minute. Listen, if you're just tuning in, I'm on with my brother. He goes by the name of Dark Man Blues. Samuel Benjamin, amazing poet, man. Thank y'all for coming in and joining. And trust me, you're going to enjoy the conversation we're having. The brother is very deep. His poetry is awesome. He's got some books and stuff. I'm going to talk about all of those things so that you know. But you are here. You picked a great moment to come. This is your first time. It's not your first time. Trust me, you're going to enjoy what's happening today. We met during the pandemic with a lot of stuff that's going on when we locked down and all of that. And he came on. He's part of the our poetry community on IG that we've had since the pandemic. With all the posts going on. If you haven't met him, follow him. Dark Man Blues on Instagram and Samuel Benjamin on Facebook, I believe. But definitely tune in with him. I'm gonna let him talk about his books and everything like that, and all the work that he's doing. So y'all just come on in and just ready for this wave.
All right, sorry about the interruption.
That's okay.
Yeah,
life happens, man. We good here. We good. It's all good. It's all
cool.
good.
Yeah. So I walk into the audience, and then I tell the lady to my right. It was a group of ladies. So I have this dope piece that I love because this guy was doing people about women wearing weaves and stuff, like he was getting on them. I said, no, I can't do the sisters like that. Let me do this. I said, I love your hair and the way you wear it. Even if it's short, I'll still run my fingers through it. That killed it. Her hair was short, and they killed it. I blew the audience away. So now I got the audience in my hand.
Yeah.
So that's how performing is an art.
It's not.
And so I had this dope poet from the Watts Prophets tell me, he says, you have all the words. You just need a stage presence. And then he says, then you will own it.
Wow. Wow.
So that's what I've been working on, my stage presence. I'm never going to stop working on my stage presence. I did Poetry Fest, I think it was 2018,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Myrtle Beach. And so my signature thing, I did this tour one time where I was Complicated Passions in the Round. And what that was is that I didn't perform on stage. I performed in the audience. Had my wireless mic on. I could walk from table to table, all around the audience, and just kill it like that. Because I don't like just being on the stage. That's kind of boring for me.
Yeah.
I like to participate. I like to reach out. You want to touch me while I'm walking through the audience? That's fine.
Mm-hmm.
And so that's what I do, and that's what I love to do. I've been writing so long, and then I get challenged by my friends, which is a good challenge because they wanted to hear what we would have a conversation about life. They wanted to hear that in my poetry, and I wasn't writing it. Well, I used to write like that, and I wasn't sharing Dark Man Blues until put out that first Dark Man Blues book. And I've written 7 of them. So there's 7 Dark Man Blues, and there's several books still in the wings that's not out yet that are coming out.
Wow. Wow. So you do publishing as well?
Yes, well, we started off doing publishing and published a few people, and then so I kind of switched up. I'm still going to publish. I'm going to start doing what do they call those? Where people contribute their work to a book.
Yeah, because that's what I'm working on. Something similar now.
Anthologies.
Yeah.
And so, but mainly, we do consulting. We do editing.
Mm-hmm.
We do formatting. Is a beautiful thing. I love formatting because the words, I tell them I could paint 1,000 pictures with 60 words.
Yeah.
So let me feel your imagination, because everybody's going to hear you differently. No 2 people are ever going to be the same. It's like one day I was on the show, and no, I was just listening, and I heard Mr. Witz. I heard him spit before, but that day I heard him spit. I'm like, I inboxed him, bro. That was dope. And I don't do that.
Right.
I have to hear you. Just like when I listen to your show, I didn't listen to it live.
Mm-hmm.
I got distracted, and then I played it back, and the pieces were off the chain. It's like, okay, so he writes too. So because everybody don't write, they don't.
I'm going to tell you what Mr. Witz, because everybody, those who don't know, that's my biological brother. It's not like we just hung out together, right? That's my biological brother. Same mom, same dad. He's been a part of my life my whole life, and so I've watched him with his writing and the way he creates his writing and how he refuses to surface anything. And so when he does a poem, I've always honored and admired the way he goes in depth with it. So I'm not surprised that you would say that because of the way that you write. The 2 of you, if there's something that you have in common, besides being dope, is there's a level of writing that it always breaks that barrier of what you thought it was on the front line. You know what I mean? Like, it's always like, no, you didn't get it if you think you got it as soon as they said it. You missed the whole mark if you canceled out everything from there. If you canceled Christmas initially when they said what they said, you have not paid attention, because it's something so much deeper. And that's one thing that I admire about your work too. I can hear it and then go back and then listen to it later, or just I'm trying to remember what you said. And just like with Mr. Witz, it takes me a step further than what that surface was. And so let me ask you this question. Is that an intentional thing, or is that a thing that just happens because that's just the way you write?
Both.
Mm-hmm.
Both. Because when I started writing, and my poems were just love poems. They had no overtones in them.
Mm-hmm.
But I didn't want to use any filler words. And so I had to be creative. Yeah. Like, I wrote a poem and I said, I only needed my pen to go all in.
Yeah.
Well, that has sexual overtones, but the piece is about me writing a poem. It ain't got nothing to do about love, but it just sounds that way because
Right.
I'm delivering it, And then so people it moves different audiences,
Yeah.
So I did a show at this place called Recess,
Okay.
and this is crazy. They when they got to me, the show was almost over. They said, "You got 1 minute on the mic." So one of my poet friends that I know, Derek Brown out of Los Angeles, he's a dope poet. Uh, he said to me after the show, he said, "They only gave you a minute." He says, "I know you were going to turn them out." Yes, I did. I did it. I did my favorite. She was a love poem and didn't know it.
Uh-huh.
And then I dropped a line that just smashed it right there. I said, "I slept with poetry last night."
Yeah.
End of story. And they killed it. The audience was so, I mean, it moved them so that I had to tell them, I only got a minute, so y'all can't be out talking me. So I'm like, And so I killed it. And so when I was walking off the stage, the host says, Samuel Rain has set the bar.
Yeah. Yeah.
So they give you props. Now she remembered me from I did a downtown LA bookstore. I mean, there are hundreds. I mean, that's people want to talk about longest running open mics. There's hundreds of people in there, and then there's people in the bookstore because this is a gigantic bookstore. I mean, like 3 floors and everything. So when I get up to the mic, I start spitting, and I said, the first line was, "If I were making love, you would be the only recipe I need."
Wow.
People just start coming out of the hall from the aisles and everything. They heard nothing like that. Everybody getting up there spitting. You got to be hard. I got to do this. No. I'm here for you and you and you, and that's who I'm here for.
Yeah. Yeah. I definitely have such an appreciation for everybody. Most poets who start off writing poems at some point wrote love poems. That was just a thing, right?
Yeah.
Especially when we started young, because we I guessing hormones and stuff like that force you to write these things about your emotions, and the only emotion that you're willing to share is infatuation or love. And so, but there's a difference in writing a love poem and then writing a love poem that's bigger than this moment. And so what I mean by that is I'm trying to take you on a journey rather than just tell you that I love you. Like, how many ways can I tell you I love you? Like, I really want to use that as a writing prompt. She was a love poem and didn't know it. I want to use that as a writing prompt because there's so many layers to that. You know what I mean? Does that make her a sonnet or just a haiku? Like, there's so many layers, you know what I mean? Like, you can just go on for days with just that idea. And I think you have this, you have this grasp on the confidence you have in writing in that form. And I think a lot of people that will listen to you, they're going to gravitate to you because of that. I think that's your thing. Like, this is what I do. You know what I mean?
Yeah, exactly. I've gone to workshops before.
Mm-hmm.
Now, when I came to yours and I wrote from those picture prompts that I actually, when I got my new computer, I thought I saved that book because that book had like 28 poems in it. I had been writing it. The book was titled Voices.
Yeah.
And I lost those, so that kind of hurt me that I lost those pieces that were in that particular project. So I'm like, okay, I got the new computer. So eventually I'm going to start back right now. So I have to start back writing, to complete another book. But I tell people we all flow differently. That's a poem that I do. And it's pretty dope. And the second line was, I said, we all flow differently. Some of us flow rhymes and call it therapy. I even hear some folks trying to emulate Talam AC. So here's a rewind. Complicated passions making love to your mind. And that's what I do. Because was Steve Arrington, Slave. Nobody can be you but you.
Right.
Why you want to be like somebody else? I don't, so people, and I tell them, even when people try to say my line, I say, get it right, because you want to get it right. Don't mess up the line. I know that I did this one piece. I don't even remember the name of it, but I know it's in one of my books, but I can recite the piece, but it says this line in it where I say, I need you. like a watch keeps time.
Wow.
Like a ball needs a bat. And then I blew them away. I was on the telephone blowing them away at a friend's house, Mr. Speaker. He did poetry at his home in Virginia. And that means some of the dopest poets in the 757 would be there. And so I dropped a line. I said, like a ball needs a bat. I said 757. I want to hit that. Oh, they went off. And then they got me on my first road trip in 2014, where I featured at the New Yorican Cafe for Valentine's Day.
I performed there before too.
Yeah, that's how you do it. And so I've been going on their Zooms because I'm like, lately for the last couple of weeks, and blowing them away. And they like, and so my friend, Mr. Speaker, he says, you just landed your next feature at the New Yorican Cafe.
Wow.
Like, that's cool, you know, because that's what we do, you know. But I write love poems, and I will tell you, people, if you want to find who your audience is, because everybody's not going to like what you do. That's one thing. So you got to get that in your head. And you say, how come they didn't like my poem? Everybody not going to like you. And I had one of the dopest entertainers tell me that. A young kid that I met, and I can get to that story later, but this kid was so dope, but everybody's not going to like what you write. So I did market research. That's why I write love poems. Because every woman wants to be in love. I'm not crazy. And so they even asked me one night, I'm standing outside of Swams, and then so they come out and they want to talk to me. They said, you got 14 books? I said, no, I have over 30 books, but I only put out 14. So I still got some stuff to put out. It's just sitting there on the archives. And they says, what did you do? I said, well, the reason why I write love poems, because I know that every woman wants to be in love. I said, I did my market research. I picked an audience and I picked an age range.
Yeah.
And every year that expanded to get older and younger. Because firstly, you know, it's like you could tell I would do a love poem, and then a younger woman would say, oh, that's cute. But an older woman would be like, that's dope.
That's dope. Yeah. Big dope.
Yeah. And they would move you. I'm performing, and this young kid, he said he was 19 or 20. He did a love poem, and the women was like, nah. And then so I was getting ready to leave, and they said, Sam, you leaving? But I brought my friends here to see you. I said, well, Lorenzo not gonna let me go back up. They said, hold up, I'm gonna go talk to him. She went and talked to him, and Lorenzo let me do another set. After I finished that set, I walked by those ladies' table. They all gave me dap.
Yeah.
Said, that's grown folks.
That's grown folks. So listen, Eco wants to know what music plays in your head to set your rhythm for your poetry, if there is any music.
Oh man, the stylistics, the shy-lights, the dramatics, the OJs, all that, you know. I mean, it's like I was listening to your show. You were talking about writers. I'm one of them writers because I grew up with that kind of music.
Yeah.
You know? Even Roy Ayers, Grover Washington, all that plays in my head. You know, when I'm writing. If I put on some music, it's like I woke up the other morning because I was dreaming. And I wanted to write this piece, and the piece came in my mind, and so I dropped a name. In fact, I dropped a bunch of names in that piece, not my own. Minnie Riperton was the first one, so I quoted her line and says, "Loving you is easy because you're beautiful." That's her line, but I'm gonna use it because I can smash it. You know, I tell my friends, I said, write a love poem and don't do it. I'll Luther Vandross that shit. Straight up, I'll cover your poem. I will. If you write a love poem and you don't do it, like I had my partner that I work with in my writing group. He doesn't write love poems, but he wrote this piece called "Next Best Thing," and people probably heard me say it. But it's so dope that he will not perform it. And when I was reading his book, we were doing the work on it. He said, "I said, ooh, I love this poem." And I said, when the book comes out, I'm going to recite it. And I didn't recite it till the book came out, but I have been reading that poem like every day because I'm like, I got to know this like the back of my hand.
Yeah.
It sounds like I wrote it. And so he got this line in there where he says, "Your perfume has got the best of me." I'll spit that one time. Them ladies was like, oh, wow. Oh, you know, they killed it.
Yeah, I think we miss as a lot of them. I'm gonna say a lot of the male poets that I've met, right? Because the female poets are writing about well, look, I want you to love me, right? And the male poets that I'm listening to, they've gotten away from that. Let me love your essence. You know what I mean? They just let me love something about you, but they don't want to love the essence of the woman. And I think they're missing the mark with that. I think a lot of the male poets won't write to that. You know what I mean? We're missing that part. So if you're a male poet in here, I'm not trying to knock you, but I want to let's get back to writing, not just I want to love this idea of you, but let me love you when my eyes are closed, right? Let me love you when you've left the room and you just left your shirt here and I can still smell your perfume. Your scent is still on my pillow. That's the kind of love poems we need to write.
Exactly.
Because see, the music we love, that's what they were writing.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? I love the indent that you left in the pillow, that you're not laying on the bed no more. But the indent, I love that part about you.
Oh yeah, see that what you just said right there. I wrote this piece and it's like it's almost like an ad lib, but it's so dope. It says something about I want to inhale the scent of you like
Mm-hmm.
the sheets do. I was get any deeper than that, you know. So they're like, "Where you be coming up with these lines?" I'm like, "Dude, I dream this kind of stuff. You know, it's what we do. You know, as a writer." And there's so much I could write about. Did they say, are you ever gonna run out of stuff to write about? I'm like, a love poem? No, got that right here.
How do you put a limit on the love, right?
You don't, you
If
know.
you think that way, then you don't even know what that is.
I
I don't
mean,
use that word, right?
I don't know what young people or any person think of it. The number one, the reason why I write the way I write is because I have a mother, I have a sister, I
Yeah.
have a daughter, and I have a woman. And so that's why I write the way I write, because I respect that, you know, and I tell people this is the greatest gift that you can have.
Yeah.
You don't get a greater gift any better than that. No,
Yeah.
because it's a gift that keeps giving. So it's like, she gonna give that up? Do something stupid, you know?
Right. Ken just said it's too early for love poems. I started off my poetry started off. Of course, I was an MC. I mean, that's just a given, right? But my poetry was love poems. I was the love letter writer. I would write love letters and love poems for my homies, and they would give them to the ladies. I should have charged them some money. I'd probably be rich by now.
Yeah.
That's why I started off when I was in school, and I'm talking about. I remember fifth grade when everybody's passing that. You like me? Check yes, check no, check maybe. I was already
Uh-huh.
writing poems.
Yeah.
I was already writing poems then, and so growing up in New York City, in the hood, if you're not around people who can, and my mom's a poet, my uncle's a poet, right? But they didn't have the time to put into that because I didn't share it. But the fellas, they ain't trying to hear that, man. You write poems, they don't hear that shit, right? So
Yeah.
the women loved it. I stayed writing it for homies to give to girls, but I didn't realize the magic in it until later on. And my ex that I was with, because she was also right. She passed away now. She was also a writer. She was a singer. She was a poet. And I could remember sitting there and I could think a thought from a song and say it and she could write the whole freaking poem right there.
Oh
It was
yeah.
magic that happened from the essence of love that was there. And I think that is something that we've gotten away from because we don't write to that anymore.
Oh yeah. Now that's the thing. Like, I know you know William Washington.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Mm-hmm.
so one night we're talking, and he gives me that line. I slept with poetry last night. He gave me that line, and so I would tell people it's like, so we collaborate on a whole bunch of things. So he gave me that line. I jumped up and wrote that without no editing, dope. When I finished it, just like
Wow.
that, and the poem has less than 80 words in it, and that first line was I slept with poetry last night. So when I do it with the other piece, I put a filler word, which is so. Well, it's a contact word that allowed me to go to the next piece and keep the flow going.
Wow.
And so I put that line in, and my first line was I slept with poetry last night. Caressed her surrender like a dream came true.
Yeah.
So you got to, and you put it, and this is without any editing. I'm like, I just wrote this piece. In 5 minutes, I wrote that piece. Called him back on the phone and spit it. And he like, damn, you killed it again. Yeah.
I think there is a magic in returning back to man, what are we warring for? What are we fighting about? You know what I mean? I think there's a magic when we come back to, you know what, man, let's just find a way to find out where this love lives at. Because it's still there. You can't love never goes anywhere.
Right.
You might dislike the person, but that love you had not gone anywhere. And I don't care if you hate that person now, right? That love has just been covered up with a bunch of ugly. Because love does not disappear. That energy exists. And I think we kind of we put everything else around it when it's not what we want it to be, right? When it's not the roadmap that we pictured it to be, that path. And we put everything else around it as if it goes away. And we put it in compartments and it just stays there. And we think it's gone, but it never disappears.
Right.
It's somebody that you've been in love with before that you probably, I can't stand the sight of him, but you remember there was a love there. It doesn't go away.
No, it doesn't. And that part, because our minds are like computers. So they work when we put the work in them.
Yeah.
So that's what you have to do as a writer. And I see this like, I actually start writing new poems at December the 31st, while everybody's out partying for New Year's. For the last 10 years, I start writing a new project. That's why I have so many books, that because once I write that book, I start writing another book. And the next thing you know, by June, I've written 3 books.
Wow.
And they're just sitting there, waiting to be published.
Yeah. Yeah. What is the name of your publishing company?
It's Innate Divinity Books.
So, because I definitely want to try to get it. Here's what I decided we were going to do this year, and so I think I'm a resident. I'm an artist in residency here in Charlotte now, in Salisbury actually. I just got awarded the position, and
Yes.
a lot of what I want to do, a lot of the publishing I want to do is artists who are not poets and writers who have not been published, and we
Right.
put all this money out. And we try to get in these competitions and people don't publish their work. And so what I'm doing with the master class is I'm actually setting up for poets who have not been published to be a part of this class. And then we're going to turn that artwork into a book. And so the first book is coming out in February, but I have different projects. And one of the projects that I'm doing is actually all about love poems. And so I want to use publishers that are, we want to buy black. I want to use black publishing companies. I want to do that.
Yeah.
So we need to have a conversation about that. And I would love to see, because you've been in one of my workshops, and you see how I kind of work. And one of my master classes is going to be just that. And I'm using I'm looking for black artists who actually have artwork done that we can take, and I can go ahead and show you, give you a direction. But we should talk about that, because that might be some project we can work on together. Because the year that I'm in this position, there's going to be so much work coming out of it that it's going to be ridiculous. And I want to put poets and writers and artists in areas that they may not have been able to be in. You know what I mean? I wanted them to know what it feels like to be published, to have your work in a book, so that it pushes them to do more work.
Yeah.
You know?
It's like that, to be published.
When I got my first book, when I published my first book and it was coming, I was all excited, right? I couldn't wait to get the book. But when I had the book in my hand, it became a new thing. Like it just, whoa, wait a minute. My shit's done. This is mine. I did this, right? And what we don't remember as artists, as writers and authors, we don't remember that you just made history. Because when you're long gone, and your great grandchildren are here, that book is still in existence. You have made history with that. And I don't think we look at that like that.
Yeah, right. So when you publish, and if anyone's reading, someone says, well, how am I know if I'm successful? I said, did someone buy your book? Yes, then you're successful.
You're successful.
Forget about the other people who didn't get it. They just missed out. They're going to have to hear the story, and they will catch up later. Because one day, someone will say, this guy was a dope writer. No, I've had some some of the dopest people in Los Angeles tell me things, about my writing, because it is different than everybody else's. And so one thing that I didn't do, well, I don't like to be a part of anything. I'm not a part of a clique. I'm a part of a team, but not a clique.
Right.
Okay, so it's the difference. And so I remember talking to a friend one day. He was at an open mic and he was spitting. And so I said, "You've been going to the workshop, haven't you?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, you sound like them." Yeah, you sound like them. I said, "You got to be you." I said, "There's nobody sound like me out there. I don't sound like anybody else. And if anybody says something, I said, no, that's another brother from another planet. He may, but that's not me. I don't sound like him. So that thing, like I was doing in the Rican, and they say, oh, he sound like Nathan Pearson. No, I know Nathan Pearson. The dope thing about Nathan Pearson, his birthday is on the same day as mine.
Oh, wow.
And he's a dope poet. I heard him spit. He's a dope poet out of New York. And he's so smooth. He wears hats too, but he liked to wear suits. Me, it's like I tell people, you can't dress up, love. A suit don't make a man.
Come on, bro.
It don't. It's like I met my first wife on the campus of USC, wearing jeans and a t-shirt. She wasn't looking for a dressed up man. She was looking for a real man. And so I tell them, they say, oh, so people tell me, oh, you should be wearing a suit when you perform. I'm like, that's not the kind of love they want.
Right.
They want real love. And dressed up love don't give you that.
They don't.
It gives you that outward appearance, but they need what's inside your soul.
Yeah.
And you need to unmask that. Just because you got all this and that. Like, I don't even wear jewelry. I mean, I do have on a piece of jewelry, but it's silver. This right here actually won in the basketball all-city tournament in Los Angeles way back in the day, and I still have it, Wow. And they didn't give out that many of these. Just the people on my team got it because we won, So I tell people that yeah. So that is definitely, you can't dress up love. It's not manufactured, and so. But I write beautiful love poems.
No doubt about that, brother. No doubt about that. Every time I hear, because I need to get some of your stuff so I can go ahead and be inspired to do some other things. It's like the question becomes, how do I allow you to love me if I can't open myself up for you to do so, right? And so if I don't open up and tell you how to love me, there's no way you can love me unless you can read my mind.
Right.
And that's the thing. Like, even if I write this in poems, even if I give you these poems, I still have to open up something else for you to get in. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to get it on the surface. You're not going to get it, there. And it's a two-way street with that.
I had someone tell me one day, a young lady asked me a question. She says, I want to hear the real you. I said, this is the real me.
Yeah.
And like she said, no. I'm like, no, this is the real me. This is my everyday. The reason why I write the way I write, because that's what I live every day. That has not changed for years and years and years. When the fact that I, as a man, understand that the greatest gift that I could have is a woman. No, this is who I am. So that's why I write the way I write. That's not making up anything. I'm not. Oh, she says, how many pickup lines do you have? I'm like, was that a pickup line? Because if that's a pickup line, I should be getting paid.
Bro, every woman that I've ever dated, right? Ever. I tell them straight up like this. I don't have any game. This is just me. Anybody who's been to an event that I've had, been to a show, saw me on live, if they know me in person, they will tell you that I'm the same person all the time. All the time. Like, I might get a little louder on the mic. I might get a little more, excited on the microphone, but I'm the same exact person. Nothing changes. I can't give you something that I don't have.
Right. That part. Yeah. And so that's what, it's like, I wasn't writing conscious pieces. Number one, I could write them because, when I'm in conversation with other people and we're talking about real life moments. Yeah. And they say, you need to put that in a poem, because you're so poetic, you could do that. I'm like, but it's not about being poetic. It's about being true.
Being true. Yeah.
And so I don't write a poem without doing research, especially a conscious piece, because if I say something, you ain't going to question me about what I said. I'm going to say, you're not reading enough, or you didn't do enough research on it. What you read ain't true because you read it in the wrong book. That was his story, not yours. You know, I love that line where they say, not history, but his story. Yeah, he wrote that
Yeah.
for you to cover up what he did. But here's the truth.
Yeah. Yeah.
Give it, you know,
Yeah.
just like that. So no, so I'm writing. That's how Dark Man Blues came in existence.
Okay.
The first book was called If It Were Me. And what I did with that book, I gave it to my editor. And I said, I want this book redone. So I want you to read it and tell me what you think. And he did. And then he says, well, there's some things that you could possibly change. I said, well, tell me what they are. And we'll take a look at it. And I did. And so I put out that book. It's called The Other Side. So what happened is that you can read the original way I wrote the poem, and then the other side will give you how I reworked it to make it either doper or tell the story differently.
Yeah, yeah.
Because no two persons is going to stick at a poem the same way. You know.
No way.
So then as I was writing that book, I was already writing John Bowl. And John Bowl I wrote John Bowl 3 years ago.
Okay.
And it's just now coming out. So you can see how many books that is behind.
Yeah.
Because I had to put out this book, Love in the Conversation.
Yeah, yeah.
Now, on Valentine's Day, I'm going to be reading from this book on Valentine's Day.
Nice.
I'm doing serenade sessions with Mr. Speaker.
Nice.
And it's the Zoom show, and it's going to be at 7:00 Eastern time. I suggest that you have a bottle of wine and you have somebody you can hold on to, because this book here has got some dope poems in it. And then I might recite, stuff off my head, but I actually wrote a poem called Nightcap.
Okay.
Because I wanted men to buy my books.
Yeah.
I had to write this poem. So when I dropped this, and I'm doing the poem, so I said the first line was, she needed a bedtime story. So now everybody's interested.
Yeah, yeah.
And then I said, it was more than wine and candles she would hunger for. So I thought for a moment how passionate this was going to be. And then she whispered, so this how I got you guys to buy the book. She whispered, read to me. You can't do it without a book, bro. So you got to get a book. And so men start buying my books.
So that's the book I want right there, bro. That's the one I want right there for sure.
Yeah, but no, that poem's not in that book. That poem's in another book.
Okay.
That poem's in another book. And that book is no longer available because I want to sell it on my website and not on Amazon. So I took it off of Amazon because that book it was in a series called The Foreplay. Okay. And so there was 4 books that sold on Amazon for $20 a piece. But if you bought it from me, you got it for $10 a piece. So you get all 4 books for $40. And each book had 100+ pages in it.
Nice.
So you were getting at least 85 to 90 poems out of each book, because my poems are short, because it's like you need to tell this story and then you need to create your own, So it's like one person told me, it said they were reading a book and they said, I couldn't put it down. I'm like, I didn't know what they were talking about.
Mm-hmm.
I'm like, what are you talking about? They were typing it to me, on Facebook, and they said, I couldn't put it down. I'm like, so I'm getting panicking. I don't know what the hell is going on. And then the book, it said, it's a page turner. That's why I couldn't put it down. Because they wanted to see if the next poem was going to be as good as the last poem they just read.
Yeah.
So, and not everything happens that way. It's like one poem maybe, because people read you differently.
They read you different. Let me ask you this. The next book you're releasing is going to be on Valentine's Day?
No. The next book that I'm releasing is John Bowl. Because I'm so far behind schedule. I am. John Bowl was supposed to come out last year.
Gotcha.
And then I had a book where you've probably heard me do the poem where I said she was a motion picture I wanted to star in.
Yes. I remember hearing that.
That book was supposed to come out for Valentine's Day, but it's not.
Let me because of course we're gonna run out of time, right? But here's what I want to say. So the feed is jumping, right? I'm gonna send you a link once we're done. The feed is jumping, and I really believe that an hour isn't enough time. So I would definitely like to bring you back but maybe we can do it outside of this time frame, and then it'll be a little later for you too. It won't have to be like 7 o'clock in the morning for you, right?
Okay.
And I'd like to bring you back and let's talk about more of your work and what you're doing, because they're really enjoying this today. I'm just watching. I can't even get all the comments, right? Because I don't want to interrupt you. But obviously we got about 4 minutes left, and I don't want to, I don't want to cram when we can do it again at another time. But I would love to have you back on, bro. Maybe in the evening on a Friday or Saturday. And man, I would love to have you on and just talk, because what I've learned with this since the pandemic is there's so many unique and amazing people, let alone what they do, but they have just that spirit that attract people. Right. And these women are eating up what's going on right now. And so I want you to get on so we can sell all the damn books you can possibly sell and get you booked for some shows. I mean, I'm about that life. Yeah. And I would love to have you back on. Let's set up another time. We'll set up a flyer. We'll do an evening, Saturday or Sunday or Friday evening. Let's call it a date night, whatever, man. And let's just blow them out the water, bro.
Oh, yeah. No, well, I'm definitely getting tuned up for that, because there's like I've been writing some new stuff, and I want to learn some new poems. I got to learn at least 20 new poems. So that's going to be, so like people don't see me because I'm learning. Yeah. Because I need to learn these poems. And it's not just learning them. It's I put poems together, because I write poems and they're like 30 seconds long. So in order for me to do a set, I need to put 5 or 6 of them together to give you 3 minutes at least. It's like I was doing a show at the Poetry Lounge in Los Angeles. They say you got 3 minutes on the mic. So I knew that before I even got there. So I had worked on this ad lib before, and it was dope. It was so dope that I blew them away. I said, I am an emotional creature, and I'm about to murder this 3-minute feature. That was so dope. I mean, like, I killed it, because you're gonna tell me I got 3 minutes. Okay, well, and I had to sit out, and I don't do that. That's why I don't like go to open mics, and I don't like paying either. Unless I don't, if I'm paying, I don't want to perform. All right.
Yeah.
Don't ask me to perform, because you should have been paying me if you asked me.
Yeah.
So, and then I had to sit outside for like 3 hours, because that's how long the line get. 200 people trying to get into this show. Yeah. And it's a 2-hour show. And that day that I did that line, that's the day that I met Talam Macy for the first time.
Talam is one of my favorites, bro.
Yeah, no. We had conversation. I walked up to the brother. I had on a doper hat than this. Okay. I went to sign up the list, and then I walked down the stage, and I knew him because I seen pictures of him. So I walked down, and I says, greetings. I says, I'm Samuel Rain. And he said, he knew who I was before I even knew him, because his wife was someone that wanted me to manage her back in the day, but I told her that she wasn't ready, because I'll be honest with you, because the people that I were managing were dope. Their portfolio was off the chain. I talked about them, and then the person that was, and I was sending them their package, and they would say, "Oh, they're everything that you said." I'm like, "Of course, because I'm a salesman, baby." Yeah. They pay me 20% when I get them paid. That's why I used to do that. I used to manage poets, and I would get paid, and I would collect their money from the person. And so they wouldn't go to there in town and say, "Oh, we didn't make enough money." No, you're going to pay me before I get there. Yeah. Or don't show up, then I give you your money back. That's how it works. Yeah. You're going to pay me all this money. I don't care if it's $1,500, $2,500. I need that right now. And I'm going to send you this dope ass flyer. Mm-hmm. My artist's going to be there, and they're going to be on time. And I need somebody to pick them up from the airport. They need a car. Yeah. Take them to the hotel. That's right. Because we don't play around like that. I'm like, I told a young artist, I said, you have to tell the people what you want. Don't let them give you what they want to give you. Yeah. Well, listen,
we got like 50 seconds left, so let me close it out. But I want you to stick on for a minute. Listen, y'all. Samuel Rain, Darkman Blues. If you don't know my man, you need to know him. Holla at me. I'll put you in touch with him. He's got books. He's got merchandise. Holla at me. I'll get you in touch with him. Darkman Blues on social media. Thank y'all for tuning in. always, you have everything you need to be great. You start this day off by being amazing, falling in love with yourself. I challenge you today to be better than you was yesterday. You have everything you need to do so. It starts with a thought and a look in the mirror, simply saying that I love you and I love you. So y'all be good. And I will see y'all Monday morning, same time. Peace and love.